movie that I did see, which I'm planning to write about on my Patreon post. Hopefully, I'll like Final Destination, but I'll talk about it. Even if I don't like it, I'll talk about how it compares to these other movies. So I did see this movie that really startled me at how good it was, which is the slasher movie Clown in a Cornfield. Right, that was weekend, and it is very much it is actually based on a book. There's a book that's based on, but it's a slasher movie that's essentially an homage to the 1980s slasher movies. Quite intentionally, they talk about that the events are happening. Feel like we're in a 1980s slasher movie. But what's surprising about it is that aside from being an entertaining slasher movie and very 80s style, what's surprising about it is that it actually has a sophisticated message about the disconnect between younger generations and older generations. That's actually the theme of it, that the underlying issues of this movie are about generational warfare. And that was something I did not expect. Wow. It is a movie that has a lot of interesting points of view of Generation Z, looking back at the older generations. And it's an example of this phenomenon that of really good, interesting, unexpected horror movies coming out this year. That includes Hard Eyes, which was the romantic comedy slasher, right? And it's just the genre is evolving in very interesting ways that I didn't expect, and I'm liking it.
Did you? How closely was it related to the novel?
Well, I haven't read the novel, so I don't know. I mean, I was surprised that it's based on a book, and but it's. I can see why, because when you get past just the slasher element of it,
right,
and you understand the character's motivations, you're like, okay, this is actually a sophisticated, I don't know if you call it literary, but it's a sophisticated idea.
Right. It has a little bit of that lyricism, right?
Exactly. There's commentary that an author can be making. I can imagine that came right out of the book. I mean, like Halloween is a great, brilliant slasher movie, but there's no commentary except to say that the boogeyman is real. Right, there's no commentary in Friday the 13th.
No social commentary, right? I get you.
Yeah,
right.
Well, I mean, Friday the 13th, you could argue that the commentary is is actually quite a conservative religious or a conservative social message of don't have sex outside of marriage, teenagers, because the only people that die in those Jason movies are people that have sex on in camp, Crystal Lake. So you could argue that maybe there's some interesting themes you could argue about Freddy and Nightmare on Elm Street, but this was very clearly a message, and it wasn't done as a preachy message. You're like, oh wow, yeah, that's cool. I never thought of it that way.
So you highly recommend it.
If anyone likes horror movies, this is a very fun and different. It'll have really good scares and kills, but it's a different movie than you'd expect, and I enjoyed it a lot. The audience was like clapping throughout.
Well, okay, there's Kamran recommends. Yeah, we'll have that sponsored soon. We now have our sponsorship deck. We're getting it out. I got to give it to Kamran because it looks like I've been working on it all week. Kamran, that's another thing I worked on this week. It looks good.
Oh, that's good, excellent.
Kamran recommends, sponsored by Gillette.
Clown in a Cornfield.
Clown in a Cornfield.
They should probably have we should probably get a knife company. We should probably get a knife company to sponsor
right.
Like a butcher knife company.
Yeah, sponsored by Trail. Here's the funny thing: I didn't see any of these big films. Because I couldn't see Final Destination without Romy.
Yep.
She wants to see that. I haven't seen the other big films yet because of time. I had to take it for midnight. Midnight. What do you call it? Mission Impossible at midnight last night.
Wow. Okay.
That didn't happen.
Okay.
But was it Monday or Tuesday night? I saw Bring Her Back.
Oh, so that's supposed to be really good.
It's an early screen unseen that I happen to go and check out, right? They offer that to the AMC people. It's part of your thing. Kamran, this movie is incredible.
Wow, I've heard that.
Yeah, this is by the same brothers that did Talk to Me.
Yeah,
Australian. This one, this is where they kind of level up because they start working with big name actors. With Sally Hawkins here, she was in The Shape of Water.
Yeah,
this character is gonna go down as one of the creepiest, yet you can't take your eyes off of her character. Okay. She's so cringe. She's like you're just screaming at the leads. Get away from her. I was completely rocked. I was so impressed. And what I'd said in my out of the theater review of this was that this is it's a commentary on a lot of different things. One, that this could actually happen because you read it in headlines in regards to people who have worked in child services and then take advantage of those childs. I mean, it's some creepy, dark stuff. And so, and then there's supernatural involved. That's as far as I'm going to go. But that doesn't even come out till May 30th, like next week, bro.
I tried, I'm a member of the American Cinematheque, right? And so I get, early screening offers. There was an early screening of this movie with a Q&A with the directors last week. And I immediately, when the email popped up, I immediately hit the RSVP, but it was already sold out by the time I hit the RSVP. Right? We're already done. But because people are, these filmmakers are interesting because I really like their previous movie, and they're old-fashioned YouTubers. So God bless. I'm always criticizing some of present company excluded. I'm criticizing many of our people in YouTube. These guys were like Australian YouTubers who did like a horror channel or whatever, and they pulled together the financing to make that first movie, and it was really, really good. You're like, and so and God bless them. Now they're becoming like major leaders of the genre,
and it's so un-American as far as their approach to horror. I'm all for it. They said this film, they got major influence from the Korean horror films, and that makes total sense, bro. That makes total sense. I'm all in.